You've got a great film idea and the world deserves to see it. I'm going to go over some of the best ways to get your project funded in 2024. After the strike, so much has changed in the film industry, and I'm going to go through some of the best practices to get you funded in 2024. I'm Nikki Michaud. I am an actress, writer, director. I've been acting for 27 years. Big TV shows like The Shield, 6 Feet Under, In the Dark, Lincoln Heights, and right now I am the writer, director, producer of my debut film, Summer of Violence, and I'm also the producer, writer, and director of my documentary that is still in production. So let's go over some of the best ways to get your project funded so the world can see it. All right, let's go. So let's talk about your film idea. It deserves to be funded, it deserves to be seen, and how to get it done in 2024. So I'm going to go over some of the biggest things that are needed for you to get funding for your story. Number one, it always ends and begins with the script. You must have a good script. So we're going to talk about some of the key elements that you need in your script what makes a good script. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Secondly, master the art of pitching your film in 60 seconds. So be able to pitch your idea in 60 seconds. You don't have to pitch in the 60 seconds. I just suggest that being able to do basically an elevator pitch will be a big advantage for you going down the road. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I like to do in my pitches and some of the key things to have in your pitches. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is building a team and a presentation that investors are really going to get excited about, and also something that can show that it's going to be profitable. So why is finding funding so hard right now? Well, we had a couple of major events. We had the pandemic where we had the shutdown and everyone went to streaming. Streamers started exploding in their production, overproduced just a ton of content, really, which turned out to be somewhat unsustainable. I think we went from like over 540 TV shows to something tonight. Now we're down to two something. Same thing with film. So when you talk to a lot of buyers, you'll find that they've got so much content already for 24, 25, and some are even saying 2026. The other thing that happened was it impacted the independent filmmaker. So you're out there making your project for under $1 million, under $500,000, and you're having the buyers are not always willing to pay that money that you spent for your film to have it on their streamer. So it becomes like a losing game. But so what do you need to do to be able to create a project that is more profitable, for more profitable for you, for the investor? That's what you want to look at. And these are some of the elements I'm going to talk about today on how to create a more profitable project, because things have gotten so tenuous. Equity investors are more nervous these days because there's a lot of uncertainty. And some of the other problems of why you have funding is so tough is, your connections in the industry, because we all know just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not happening. And if it's happening for someone, it can happen for you. And that's really what I want to talk about, making it happen for you. What do you need to do to be at the top of your game to be able to get your project funded? The number one thing that people always ask me about my project is, how did I get it funded? And at the end of this video, I'll talk a little bit about how I got my independent film, Summer of Violence, funded. So the number one thing, of course, is the script. If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. You need to be able to you can need a great script. You need a good script. Okay. Great is strong. You need a good script. And what makes a good script? Number one, um, an active main character. A main character that's after something. Look at your script, whether you wrote it or your writer wrote it. You need to be able to identify, what's this character after? And it shouldn't be in a mental goal. I mean, it could be mental, but it needs to be strong. It should be primal. It should be relatable. What are they after? You should be able to articulate clearly, my character is going to start selling methamphetamines to pay for his family because he thinks he's dying of cancer. It's Breaking Bad. So, a strong, compelling, and ideally compelling, meaning that when you tell someone the arc of your character, there's like, ooh, I want to see that. I want to know that story. So the good thing is, if you're talking about your idea in a coffee shop, are they paying attention to you after 10 minutes, or have you lost them? So that's always a good sign. In your writing, whether it's your writing again or your writer's writing, should be visual. It should be painting pictures. It should be describing the world that we see. When you read it, you should get the visuals. We want to show, don't tell. We don't want the characters telling us everything that's going on. We don't want a lot of expository writing explaining the story. Not a lot of that. Not that you can't have once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, type of exposition, but you just want to make sure that your writing is very visual to describe the world that we've dropped into. Look for that in your script. Does your script have that? When you read the first 10 pages, can you see it? So go back, reread the first 10 pages of the project you're thinking about. Can you see it? Is the world coming alive? Is it specific? What's specific about this world? Why? What part of the story, what part of the character's life have we dropped into? Is it compelling? Is it those first 10 pages are, everything. I also think that it should have a compelling theme for you, especially. Like, why does this story matter to you? Why is this story worth telling? And why are you the person who needs to tell it? Which sort of gets into the pitch part, but just these are just good things because dig deep and understanding why you need to bring this story into the world, because you're about to be sitting with this story for a good 2 years. Once you are able and successful and get the funding, I'm claiming it for you. It takes about 18 months to 2 years to bring these projects to fruition when you do them independently. So why does it matter? And being clear about that and making sure that those things are in the script, because odds are if it matters to you, it's going to matter to like thousands of other people, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. But that is when we start tapping into that human condition, that human connection, because what works for you, if you're going to buy a ticket and go to the movies to see your movie, why? The last part is get professional script coverage. Coverage is there are readers out there. You can pay a pretty nominal fee sometimes to get someone to read your script and give you professional feedback. You know, I haven't always had a positive experience with it, so I don't really, it's not like you have to do it, but I really think it's good. I really think it's very, very good to get professional feedback, because that way it's not someone who knows you. They don't love you. They don't care. They read a ton of scripts and they're just going to give it to you straight. Most likely what you get in the coverage is what you're going to get if you send it to a studio, because they're hiring these same readers. So this will give you a accurate picture of where your script is, and it's good. You need to know this. Whether you take the notes and apply them or toss them out, you should know what people are thinking about your script. I remember, my God, I've been writing scripts for like 12 years, maybe 15 years. I've been writing scripts and getting coverage. And so many years, the coverage was just like, oh, just painful, just painful coverage, or they didn't get it. And so, I would just keep writing, keep practicing. And finally, I remember when I got around to sending Summer of Violence to get coverage, this was the first script that came back where they said, this is a good script. Like literally, this is a good script. I was like, no way. And that's when I knew this is the movie I have to make, because I had finally crafted something in a way that was working. Writing a script's not easy, guys. We all know that. It's not easy to be a writer. I think writing is one of the hardest things to do. So do not be discouraged if your feedback from the coverage or from a professional friend is not positive. It doesn't matter. So the good thing is that you have a script. You've completed a script. Yes. Everyone should jump up and down and success. You did it. You completed the script. But of course, that's just the beginning. We all know writing is rewriting. So get the coverage. Do not take these notes personally, criticism, any of that. I don't care how harsh it comes. I've had some harsh notes from people. Doesn't matter. Take it in. Take it in and apply it to your script and keep going and keep crafting and keep shaping, because there's a way to make a good story in there. You want to find it. You want to find that good story, because whatever problems are at this stage are not going away ever. So fix them. Fix them. Don't ignore them. Okay, pitching. Pitching's fun. I like pitching because it's when you get to really talk about your idea. Pitching can be hard. Hard. I hate using the word hard when you're talking about the film business, because really all of it's hard. So it's just such a useless word. So pitching. Pitching is when you are able to describe your project in a compelling way to someone. You want to hit some of the high points, like what's the arc of the character, what's the character's journey. Talk about it in a way that's exciting for you. So when I talked about Breaking Bad and I talked about, uh, kind of a quiet chemistry professor decides one day to start selling meth and ends up becoming the largest meth dealer in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because he's trying to set up his family because he's dying of cancer. That's a long-winded way, but it's an interesting storyline, and so you want to be able to pitch better than that, but you want to be able to summarize your story in a way that is compelling, that highlights some of the ironies. Like the irony of Breaking Bad is that this mild mannered professor becomes this big badass drug dealer. That's the turn, that's the dynamics in the character that we're going to see. And it's ironic because you would look at this mild mannered professor and his glasses and you wouldn't think that he was going to become, who he became. And that is really what is compelling about the story. So in your story, what's the compelling arc? What's the part of the story that drew you in? Why did you want to make it? What made you interested in the story in the first place? Sometimes if we start there with what drew you to the project, those little things that made you stay up all night trying to figure out how to get this thing off the ground, that is usually a thing that's compelling to other people, which is why I say know why you're making it, know the themes. And then also why you should be making it. What about you in your personal life has brought you to this story and why you need to be the one to shepherd it to the world? Because when you're asking the funders for money, especially if you're a first-time director, um, why should they let you do it? Yes, this is a great idea. Let's go get some other director who's done way more films than you. Why are you the one who has to deliver this to the world, be able to articulate that? And ideally it dovetails with what's going on in the script, with what's going on in the story. um do not pitch the entire story, guys. Do not tell the story. Do not don't go through every little thing. No, the big arc, one sentence. It can be like a log line, but you don't want to usually pitch your log line because log lines are usually not pitchy. But you need to be able to create a sentence that captures that essence, of what's happening in the character's journey, and then the sentence about why you're the one, what drew you to the project. And these ideally, are relatable things and can pull people in. And of course, people can get excited by your excitement because things that you're excited about, things that you're passionate about, you can transfer that passion to other people and then they're on board with it, and they want to go on the journey with you. So pitches do not, of course, not need to be 60 seconds, but you don't know how much time you're going to have if you meet someone in the bar, in an elevator, and they happen to be the right person for your project. You want to be ready to go, which gets us into the next thing, which is having the right materials. I wouldn't recommend you want to be ready. When you pitch, you want to be ready to send them your materials, which is your script that has been, had professional coverage. You put your notes into it. You've got more coverage. Maybe you've had a table read. Maybe you've had professional friends read it, but the script is solid. You want to have gotten to the point where the script has gotten some solid feedback, and you're like, yes, good script. Okay, cool, that's done. The second thing you need before you start pitching is your visuals, your pitch deck. That needs to be put together and it needs to be professional. And you need to put some thought and time into that to make this work. And if you have the budget, you should also do a sizzle reel or a proof of concept. That's also really, really awesome. You guys, the deal, what I'm saying here is they already want to say no. They're ready to say no. You got to be ready to, you have to have an answer for every no. Don't give them an easy no by showing up unprofessional. Get your profession, get your all your stuff, all stuff together. Um, in your pitch deck, you want to have your attachments. And this is where you want to be able to have attached cast, or ideally cast that will have value, that add to the value of your project, that show that you can get um, an audience to watch your film. So casting, we go right back to the script. You need to be able to get your script in front of them. So you're saying, Nikki, how do I get my script to Viola Davis or someone famous like that? They're all findable. They all have teams, they all have production companies. All these people are findable. We usually say, though, in practical sense, you want to go with the people who you can touch, people who are in your phone, people who know somebody who knows someone, who are right in your world. That's where you start. And we're going to talk about who's in your world and how to expand your world next. But that's usually the first and best way. But agents, they have managers, they have production companies. Okay. If you do not have a powerful script, if you do not have a good script, also if you submit your script to writing competitions, you win a writing competition, it acts as a calling card to be able to say, hey, I've got the winner of the Academy Nichols Award, Nichols Fellowship, and read the script. That helps. But once you get out there in the world and start talking to people, it's a very small world. Someone knows somebody who knows somebody. But the key is, you do not get a second chance for someone to take another look at your script. It must be tight. It must be. And then the visuals that go along with it, because if you can put those things together, a good script will find its way, because it's hard to write a good script. So we talked about your script, we talked about your pitch, we talked about a team, and then now I want to talk about the money and the casting and all these things that you need to do to get that. And it's there, the markets and film festivals are there for you to start, networking and meeting people. The money people, the buyers, the distributors, and the sales agents can be found at film markets and film festivals that have buyers. Big festivals are usually the ones that have buyers there. You can always look in the trades and see where projects are selling to be able to know, this is the festival I need to go to meet people. Um, all of these people are on all of these companies. You should be looking at films that are like yours and seeing who are the distributors, who are the sales agents. Let me look them up. And that way you're going with buyers, going to distributors who fit what you're selling, who are buying what you're selling. Okay. And then once you start doing the research, like who's there, they have all these people, they're on their websites, they're on LinkedIn. These people are not hard to find. You can find them, and then when you show up at AFM or Cannes, the Marché du Film in Cannes or Berlinale, when you show up to these places, you're just meeting people. You're not only meeting the big ones, you're meeting the small ones. But more importantly, you're putting energy into what you're doing, and energetically you start to shift. And this is the thing that is really important. You've got to get in motion. Okay, you start where you start. You know where you know what you know, but you just got to get in motion, starting to say, okay, I'm going to get this project out there. My script is great. My pitch deck is great. I've got all my pieces together. And even if you're still looking for casting, or even if you're still looking for casting, now you can start talking about it when those items are together. Because in the process, you may also start finding people who can help you get the casting, because there are agents there, there are managers there. But you have to start meeting people. It's a people business. It's all networking. When they say it's all who you know, well, who do you know? You got to go meet more people. So I want to talk a little bit about, learn do's and don'ts. So do's and don'ts. So do's and don'ts. Um, I would say, don't be weird. Don't be weird. Just be yourself, be authentic, be friendly, um, and pitch the right, when you're talking about your project to people, make sure it's a fit, make sure it's something that makes sense. You're not trying to put a square peg in a round hole. So do your research, know who you should be talking to. Know it's difficult to walk into, like Hulu is at Cannes, but maybe you can't walk into their door. It's a little bit more challenging to get a meeting there, but maybe there's someone smaller who has access to Hulu, a smaller distributor, a smaller sales agent that can help you where you are get to there. That makes sense. So there are levels, there are steps, and wherever you are, there's room to get to the next place. When I started trying to sell Summer of Violence, I didn't know any distributors. I didn't know any distributors. I didn't know anything. And in the process of selling it, I've met small distributors, big distributors, every size, all through this process that I'm talking about with you guys. So that now when I do my every project going forward, I already know all these people, because guys, the town's only so big. There's only so many companies. So once you get started and you get out there, you start meeting people, and you've got this great script, guys, because you worked on it and you rewrote it, and you got your professional pitch deck. You're solid. You're ready. It's just a matter of getting out there, getting to know people, and having a project that's compelling and looks like it's something that people want to see. So get going. There's nothing to stop you. It doesn't matter where you are. You have enough information to get started. And I'm so excited for you guys to begin your journey. Do not let the lack of funding hold you back. It is possible. And I'll say that again, it is possible. I'll tell you a little funny joke. Back when there's there are also independent investors, equity investors. That's an individual person who's looking to invest in film, equity investors, who may be interested in your film in your hometown. The restaurateurs, the dentists, those types of people who are looking to invest, but you still need to do your homework and get your script together, your deck together before you start approaching these individuals. I'm excited. Your story really deserves to be told. I really cannot wait to hear it. And please keep in touch with me and let me know how far you got with your story. And as I close, I'll just talk a little bit about how I got my money for Summer of Violence. So we raised almost $1 million for the film. And it's funny, the fundraising for this film, I don't even want to call it fundraising. I started talking about getting money for Summer of Violence. I wrote the film in 2018 and then I put it down. And then during the pandemic, I was just like, I want to make my film. I want to do it. I think it was 2021 was when I decided I want to make this film. And I didn't have a deck yet. I just had the script. And this was back when I finally started getting good responses. And I'll just be honest with you. I was the type of person who I would submit my script everywhere and then not read the feedback, because usually it was just like, ugh, it was just rough notes. So I think it was a year after I'd already submitted the script to several places for feedback, and I decided I wanted to make it. So I was like, okay, well, let me look at the script and see what needs to be done. Opened it up, and that was when I realized I actually had really good feedback, and the script was getting very positive reviews. So that's when I decided, I finally have a script that's good that I can make. That was the day I decided I'm going to make this movie. Now, I had talked to my primary investor years ago about doing projects together and films together, and he wasn't ready, and I went off and did whatever I did, but we kept in touch. And in the meantime, I had a TV show that I pitched to a major studio. I got a deal with that studio to develop the show. The show got stuck in development hell, but the whole time I'm still out there. I'm out there. I'm doing things. I'm meeting with, executive producer writers. I'm growing my network, and that investor was watching and then came back to me all those years later and said, "Hey, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's make something." And my business partner is Johnny Wimbury, and we made Summer Bounce together, and the documentary we're working on, My Brother's Keeper, together. And that was how that happened. And this is what I'm saying to you guys: get out there and do something, because you don't know the seeds that you're planting. As long as you know this is where I want to go, I want to make my project, and you're just planting seeds. You don't need to know all the steps to get to, the end of the rainbow, so to speak. Like, I didn't plan that I'm going to end up getting the funding for the film this way. I just knew I was going to get the funding for the film, and I just got out there. So that's what I hope you guys are encouraged, and I look forward to talking to you on the next video.